Hi everyone, how are you doing? We're just gonna give it like 4 more minutes for more students to join. In the meantime, if you want to put in the chat an interest or a hobby that makes you unique, or a cool hobby or interest of someone you know, like one of your friends, feel free to put it in the chat. Also, in the meantime, feel free to enjoy the music. I'm hoping some of you know it because it's pretty popular on TikTok right now. Yeah.
What we wanna do on and on again, make you feel like a game. Look at us, we go on and on again. We'll go on to the end. What we wanna do on and on again. Look at the new me, switched it up. Who's this? Stood up, new jeans, so fresh, so clean. 얼마나 기다렸던 날 드디어 feeling so right. 또 한 번 더, I need to know you want some more. New hair, new tea, new jeans, you and me. New hair, new tea, new jeans, you and me. New hair, new tea, new jeans, you and me. New hair, new tea, new jeans, you and me.
Hello. I'll be honest, I can't hear how far into the song it is. Um, does it sound like the song's almost over? Oh. Hmm.
Look at some new me, switched it up. Who's this? 우리 봐, new jeans, so fresh, so
Oh,
clean.
nice.
I'm in love.
Stephanie's cleaning for her.
기다렸던 날 드디어 찾았을
No one has an interest or hobby that makes them unique. I think for me, I don't know. I guess I would say like a hobby I have is like working out, but I don't think that's pretty unique. A lot of people work out. Maybe crochet. That's something I picked up this year. That could be something. It could literally be any interest. The gym also. Yes. Listening to music on Max while driving. Oh, be careful with that. An interest of boxing. Oh, boxing is an interesting one. That's pretty interesting. I've never boxed. I feel like I have a very weak punch. Like when I work out and they do like the like the punches for your arms. I'm so weak at it. So props to you, Dayanara, for actually being able to punch. Clean. Oh, cleaning was one of them. I'm confused. I crochet vanilla. I also don't crochet that well, but you know, it's something. I read a lot. Oh, nice. I try to read, but I can't read that long. How do you stay interested in a book? I think it depends on what you read, but that's interesting. I'm gonna go to songs. So we're just gonna give it 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Honestly, if the song changed, I have no idea what the song is, so I guess I'll find out when I stop the music. Um, any other people want to share their hobbies or interests? Probably some That's a good one. Okay, I think we can get started. I'm just gonna quickly stop my screen so I can stop the music and also see what you guys have been listening to. The full album. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, just gonna share my screen again and then we can get started. I also love New Jeans. Thank you, Natalie, for acknowledging it. I've been obsessed with their new album. Um, let's see. Okay, now we can get started. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm so happy to have you here today. And whether this is your fifth workshop or this is your first one, welcome. My name is Karime. I'm one of the people who has been sending you college related messages these past few months. On this call, we also have Sarah, who is going to be our moderator for today. So she is also one of Let's Get Ready's transition program managers, and she'll be explaining that program later today. For today's workshop, we're going to talk about college affordability, something I know I definitely had in mind when I was applying to college, and some of you have brought up questions about these past few weeks. So this is kind of the workshop to hopefully answer some of the questions that you have. So for this workshop today, we already did the welcome and the icebreaker. The next thing we'll be discussing is the basics of applying for, basics of paying for college, building an affordable college list, applying for scholarships, getting ready to complete FAFSA, and any other forms that you'll need to fill out, as well as talking about family and finances. We'll end off by reviewing financial aid offers, and then we'll close out. Similar to what we've done in the past, we are offering a raffle prize. So this is going to be a $25 gift certificate for participating in today's workshop. And as a reminder, every workshop that you attend will also give you 1 point towards a grand prize raffle, where the top prize is a gift certificate for $100. For today's raffle, you'll be able to earn 2 points or 1 point each by either coming off of mute to participate or keeping your camera on. You can obviously turn it off whenever you need to. And this is the last workshop. So once attendance is captured, we'll text the winners of the grand prize. Now that that's out the way, let's talk about the basics of paying for college, something I definitely remember being very concerned about because college can be very expensive. So first, let's introduce the different types of financial aid that colleges provide you, including scholarships, grants, loans, and work study. I do want to remind you that students almost never pay the full price of their college's tuition. So if you see that a college costs $20,000, the likelihood of you paying that is very low because of financial aid. The first one is scholarships and grants. So this is free money. This is money that students never have to pay back. Then we have work study, which is a somewhat guaranteed job, but students do have to work the hours to receive that money. For example, I received work study when I was in college, so I tutored for, I believe it was 15 hours a week, and then that's how I would get the money from work study. Lastly, the most daunting one is loans, which is money that you do have to pay back. Government loans generally have low interest rates, and so you pay less money back in the long term. And then you have private loans that tend to have higher interest rates, so you end up paying more in the long term. Keeping that in mind when you are considering taking out loans, definitely look into the difference between government and private loans so that you can pick the best choice for you. So just to quickly check in with everyone, I want to know which of the following best describes your goals related to paying for college. So it can either be getting as many scholarships as possible, graduating with no debt, or working towards a high paying or in-demand career so that your debt can be paid off. You can submit your response using this poll that I'm launching right now. Feel free to just pick whichever one matches your goals, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. Let's see. So I'm seeing getting as many scholarships as possible, getting an in-demand job, full ride scholarship, taking out minimal student loans. The highest one is scholarships. Definitely want to get as many scholarships as possible, full ride, and no to minimum loans. Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember when I was in college, definitely one of the goals I had was to have little to no loans so I could graduate with no debt. And thankfully, I was able to graduate without any debt. So it is possible, guys. That's why you just have to be smart about financial aid and what you choose to apply to. So I'm just going to end the poll right now. I think everyone got a chance to participate. The most common choice was getting as many scholarships as possible. So as you can see, a lot of you on this call want to get as many scholarships as possible, and we'll be talking a little bit more about scholarships later on. So thank you guys for participating. Let me just close this out. Okay. So loans, speaking of loans, it can be a very daunting topic, and in reality, the impact of student loans disproportionately affects first-generation students, low-income students, and students of color. This impact makes educating yourself about loans and financial planning really important. And by attending this workshop, you are taking that first step towards learning more in order to inform yourself about loans and about financial aid. So as you continue to learn more, as you begin senior year and you're beginning to apply to financial aid, your coach will be there to answer any questions that you have. Graduating without that is not possible for many students, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's why I really want to emphasize making conscious financial decisions so that you can set yourself up to succeed with as little to no debt as possible. And it's also why many people have joined the effort to cancel student debt, which you can support as well if you are interested in supporting that. That's just some quick information on student loans. I'm not a financial expert, so that's why I'm not giving specifics. Yes, now that we've briefly discussed student loans, I want to introduce 3 main strategies that you can use to keep your college tuition as low as possible. So to try to get some participation going, can I have one student read each strategy? You can either raise your hand if you're interested in reading it out loud, or I can also call on you, but I'm giving you the choice. Let's see. Mohammed, please tell me if I pronounced that wrong. Please correct me.
That's how you pronounce it.
Oh, okay, good. Thank God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I just read one or all 3?
You can read all 3.
Okay.
Mhm.
So first, create an affordable college list. Second,
Mhm.
apply for lots of scholarships. And third, choose the best financial aid offered.
Yes, thank you so much. So we're gonna be talking about each one of these strategies moving forward. Thank you again for reading them out loud. So starting off with the first strategy, building an affordable college list. This is starting from the get-go, setting yourself up for an affordable college experience by choosing affordable colleges. So by building an affordable college list, what we mean is creating a list of colleges that fall under some of the categories you see on this slide right here. This includes schools that have a low sticker price, schools with good financial aid, and schools that offer great merit scholarships. By low sticker price, we mean like it says like it costs $10,000 to get here. That's already pretty low, and then it could get lower with additional financial aid. Great merit scholarships as well. Schools with merit scholarships should especially be considered by students who have impressive academic profiles. This includes grades or test scores. So if you have an impressive GPA or an impressive SAT score, definitely look towards schools that offer great merit scholarships because they are essentially awarding you for being a good student. The example I always like to give is if you have a 90 GPA, a school can easily match that and give you $9,000 in financial aid. That's just like a quick example. Some schools will vary, but getting $9,000 just for getting a good GPA sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So why not check it out? One thing that is worth noting is that financial aid does function a little bit differently for undocumented students. So schools with low sticker prices and schools that meet 100% of demonstrated need for undocumented students is a good starting point, as well as scholarships and applying to as many as you can. Sarah is going to be adding in the chat the link for schools with large endowments and schools with 100% demonstrated need so that you can start searching for some of the schools that fall under these categories. These are just some schools that when I was applying, I would have looked at. Large endowments just mean that they have more aid to provide you. So definitely feel free to check out both their links. We'll also be sharing these slides with you, so you can also feel free to come back and look at, for example, low tuition schools or tuition-free schools that are rare, but they do exist. So reflecting on the strategies that we just shared, you guys have probably been building your college list, or at least I hope you have been building your college list. Thinking back to when you were choosing schools to add to your list, have you been using any of these strategies that I just mentioned, or are you now considering using one or more of the strategies that we just introduced? Feel free to put your answers in the chat or unmute yourself if you feel comfortable sharing. And if you need a reminder, it was creating an affordable college list, applying to lots of scholarships, or choosing the best financial aid offer. Has anyone used any of these strategies while they were building their list? It's okay if you didn't, but just to check in. Oh, really? Okay. I haven't been explicitly looking for merit-based schools, but that's a good idea. Definitely a good idea. Highly recommend you do it. I've been using the strategy of applying to a school that offers the best financial aid offer. That's good. Affordability for sure, 100%. I've been looking for ways to find scholarships. We'll actually be talking about how to find scholarships in a little bit. Actually, the next slide. So definitely on the right track. And if you haven't been using any of these strategies or considering any of these schools that have large endowments or great merit scholarships, that's okay. You still have the month of August to do some more research and add more schools to your list. Hopefully some that can give you the best financial aid offer. I also want to note that it's okay to choose schools based on things that interest you. So for example, when you're thinking about applying to college, you might not always be thinking about financial aid, and that's okay. I know for me, I really wanted to look for a school that had a good school ambiance, a good vibe. Some students might prioritize location, program, status of the school, and that's okay, because if that's making you excited to go to college, then that should definitely be something that you keep in mind, because you want to be excited about going to college and the schools that you are applying to. Thinking back to quickly some of these schools, are you now considering applying to any of these schools? Like, for example, if I was a student, I would probably consider applying to some low tuition schools, or if there is one that interests me, tuition-free schools. Any schools here that you guys might be considering applying to now? I know someone mentioned state public schools, which can also offer good financial aid.
Karime, there's two people who have their hand raised.
Oh, I did not even see that. Apologies. Dayanara.
Yeah, hi. I've been,
Hi.
since I'm from New York City, I've been applying to a lot of CUNYs, and especially John Jay, because like even though it's like a CUNY school, it has like one of the best criminal justice programs like in the country.
Yes.
So, and it's like really affordable too. And I've also
Mhm.
been applying to a lot of SUNYs as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely. If you're a New York State resident, CUNYs and SUNYs will give you some good financial aid, especially CUNY. Some students can go to CUNY for free. Essentially for free, you just get a lot of aid. So definitely you're making some good decisions there. Stephanie?
Hi. Well,
Mhm.
right now I'm not sure what I want to major on, but I
Mhm.
want you to please like go on more on what is a college list.
Yes. That's a good question. I can reach out to you afterwards to give you some resources on building the college list. Essentially, it's just a list of schools that you will be applying to. In the fall, it's going to be your reach, target, and safety schools. I can share more with you afterwards.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, thank you guys for your participation. Moving on to applying for scholarships. This is your second strategy for making college more affordable. I know some of you have already started asking about scholarships, so hopefully this can help you guide you a little bit with applying to scholarships. So this scholarship timeline is set to start this week. Think of it like today, because in the fall, you will have lots of college application related stuff to do, and deadlines for scholarships will start to come up. So you want to make sure that you're on top of everything. this week, you should identify scholarships you're interested in applying to, creating a small list of scholarships that you are planning to apply to. For the remainder of August, definitely focus on prioritizing any materials that you're going to need, as well as deadlines, and prioritizing it based on what scholarship is due first. So collecting any materials that you need, such as letters of recommendation, resume. Some scholarships might ask for essays, so you're gonna want to get on top of that. If you have scholarships that the deadline is in November, and then others that are due in December, definitely prioritize the November ones and then the December ones. For September to April, which is when you're going to be doing college applications, this is also when you'll be submitting your scholarship applications. So make sure to keep track of all the applications that you are submitting. To help you make scholarship planning a little bit more easier, Sarah is going to be chatting in a spreadsheet where you can track everything. Hopefully it helps you stay organized, because the last thing you want to do is forget a deadline. One concern that a lot of students have when applying to scholarships is, how do you know if you will be able to win a scholarship? The college essay guide explains it in this way. People who win scholarships generally have one or more of the following. So they either have great academics and amazing talent, a unique set of qualities. The third bullet point that you see on the screen is underlined, like a bunch of little things are underlined. This is because each of these things that are underlined can make a student eligible for a scholarship. So for example, you might be eligible for a scholarship just for being Native American, for being first generation, for having veteran parents, etc. So definitely look for scholarships. There are so many scholarships out there that you can apply to, and you're going to want to look for whichever ones meet your unique set of qualities. What I want you to take away from this slide is that there are unique traits that you have and make you eligible for a scholarship. It's just about determining what those traits are. So if you are like a swimmer, maybe you're a competitive swimmer, you can apply to scholarship for that. There's all sorts of scholarships. There's ones for cooking, for baking, for dancing, etc. It's just about looking for them. And even if you feel like you don't have any unique traits that might help you get a scholarship, that is completely okay. I definitely don't think I have anything that's listed here. So then you're gonna want to focus your attention on building an affordable college list. So thinking about what makes you unique, there are, like I said, different types of students, different types of scholarships.
spell college essay.
Huh? Oh. Sorry. So there are all sorts of scholarships for all sorts of students. You'd be surprised how varied the scholarships are. Sarah is going to chat in a list of scholarships based on interests and hobbies. You can search for scholarships based on your interests, life experiences, culture, city, languages, etc. For example, there are scholarships you can win by writing an essay on civil rights, a ballet scholarship if you've done ballet. If you are really good at art, you can win an art scholarship, even scholarships for cooking. Someone mentioned that they box. They've been boxing for 4 years. So if you can find a scholarship for that, that would be great. For me, I had won a scholarship for being first generation. So for simply being the first in my family to go to college, I was able to get a scholarship. It's really just about looking. I do want to give you guys like 3 minutes to come up with 5 to 10 things that makes you you. Think of this as kind of an exercise where you're jotting down your hobbies, interests, and other traits about yourself that you think could get you a scholarship. So why don't we just take 3 minutes to make that 5 to 10 item list, and then we'll check back in. Okay. If anyone else feels comfortable sharing in the chat, like some of the qualities that they wrote down, feel free to do so. Some students have already started doing so. So Dayanara, boxing and art definitely can help you find some scholarships. Let's see. Playing varsity volleyball for 2 years. Playing varsity volleyball, APR for 2 years. Definitely, if you're confident in your art, please apply to scholarships using your art so that you can get awarded. Girl Scouts, I think that if I'm not mistaken, Girl Scouts have a college scholarship. I would check in about that, as well as the National Honor Society. Let's see, helping others around me. You can definitely apply to scholarships for volunteer work as well and community service. National Honor Society, open to new things, organize, and that's definitely another one. There might be like a scholarship for like motivational writing as well. If any of you like writing, you can definitely do that as well. Okay, I think you guys all have really good traits and things that you can use to help you look for scholarships. So definitely feel free to take the time after this to search for some scholarships that fit those hobbies and interests that you have, and begin to apply to them. Just want to point out, Natalie, Latina, and first gen, 100% worth finding scholarships for that. Especially if you are part of an underrepresented group going into a specific field. For example, if you're Latina going into STEM, there's a lot of opportunities out there. So please take the time to look for them. Let's see. Moving on to searching for scholarships. Thank you again, all of you, for sharing. I've been sending this to some of you, but just in case you've never received it, we do have a scholarship guide that was created by Let's Get Ready, so that you can search for all sorts of scholarships. I'm actually going to share my screen really quickly so we can go through it together, and then you have a little bit of a better understanding on how to use the guide. So just give me a quick moment. Okay. So this is what the guide looks like. If you've never seen it before, here it is. It starts off with just a quick explanation on what scholarships are, tips for searching for scholarships. I highly recommend you look through the tips for college searches, because unfortunately there are a lot of scams out there. So you're gonna want to make sure that you're not getting scammed for a scholarship. Definitely want to emphasize application deadlines, knowing where to look. So we've provided some scholarship websites where you can do some searching for scholarships and know that these are scholarships that will not be fake. We also broke it down by state. So if you belong to any of these states, definitely feel free to use this search engine. For example, if you're from New York State, using the New York Scholarship search for scholarships.com. There's also national scholarships. I want to specifically highlight scholarships for underrepresented groups. As I just mentioned, there is a lot of support out there if you are from an underrepresented background, group, or set of people. So definitely making sure that you're taking advantage of that, because your background is a strength, it is not a weakness. So please make sure that you are taking advantage of these resources. And then lastly, we have interest-based scholarships. So just some quick information on how to search for those scholarships. And lastly, if you're at any time confused about any of the terminology, I highly recommend that you use our scholarship glossary. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Let me just share my screen again. So that's what the guide looks like. If you would like to see it, Sarah actually just put it in the chat. So I highly recommend that you bookmark it and go back to it later on. If you guys want, you can take 2 quick minutes to look through the scholarship guide and see if there's any scholarships that you're interested in applying for. And if you feel comfortable sharing with us what scholarships are piquing your interest and that you might want to apply to, feel free to put it in the chat. Yeah, like if you're looking at the document right now, like I would have definitely looked at the one for Latinx, Latina students, because that's how I identify. First generation students, if any of you on this call are first generation, definitely looking at those scholarships. Yeah, does anyone have any questions about the guide? Or is there anything interesting you found in the scholarship guide that I just shared? I do want to make another quick note that for undocumented students, scholarships are a very important way for you to pay for college because unfortunately you may not be eligible for other forms of financial aid. So scholarships are going to be very beneficial. And you're going to want to make sure that you're applying to them.
Well, I was thinking to apply to the Coca-Cola scholarship.
The Coca, I had not heard of that one, but that's a good one. I know there's also like the Disney scholarship. If any of you are big fans of Disney, definitely also apply to that one. That's a good one. That's so funny. There's so many scholarships out there by so many different companies, so you can also search for scholarships that way as well. The Coca-Cola one too. Oh, nice. We have 2 people applying to the Coca-Cola one. Nice. Okay. Yeah, definitely feel free to take the time to look through the scholarship guide whenever you have time and see if you can come up with a list of scholarships to apply to and then begin applying to them. There's so many out there. It's just about looking for it. Let's see. Moving on, continuing the conversation on scholarships, I do want to inform you about the College Board Opportunity Scholarship. You may or may not have heard of it, but it is a scholarship that was created especially for juniors, and it's nice because they award a lot of these scholarships, and it's meant to help you through college planning and rewards your effort along the way. So it starts off by helping you, oh, sorry. It starts out by helping you build your college list. It helps you improve your score, your SAT score, and it helps you apply to colleges. If you would like more info on this, you can check out the link in the chat to learn more about the scholarship. Sarah just kindly put it in the chat. So that's just another one that we want to make sure you're aware of. The other scholarship that we want to introduce you to is the Dell Scholarship. Rather than many small scholarships, the Dell Scholarship provides one big scholarship, and you're eligible to apply for the scholarship because you're a Let's Get Ready student. So just by being part of Let's Get Ready, you're eligible. It provides students with $20,000, and this includes a laptop with 4-year warranty. It provides you with credits for textbooks. It gives you personalized support and free access to counseling services because mental health is very important, especially in college. So this is another one that you'll be hearing more about in the coming months. So definitely be on the lookout for it. It's one worth checking out, and you're already eligible to apply to it, so definitely take advantage of it. So the other big part of scholarships is determining what you need in order to apply. And typically to apply for scholarships, you will need a resume, letters of recommendation, and a list of best fit scholarships. It's okay if you feel like you are not where you are supposed to be in terms of applying to scholarships. I encourage you to get these materials together now so that you can begin to plan and apply for scholarships. And essentially by getting these things out of the way sooner rather than later, you are reducing the stress that you'll have during your senior year, because you're going to have a lot on your plate. And when you have too much on your plate, you will likely forget about scholarship deadlines. And that's something you don't want to do. And for some help with resume, because I know some high school students might not have a resume, Sarah is going to be putting a link to a resume writing guide in the chat. So definitely feel free to use this guide to create your resume. Start to think of teachers who would be good recommenders. This should be someone who knows you fairly well, and who knows your work ethic. If they know who you are as a person, that's great too. And then begin to have your list of scholarships that you want to apply to, and begin preparing everything. Remember, scholarships are going to have different requirements. So some might require an additional essay or a quick like paragraph. So definitely keep that in mind as well as you're preparing your materials. So we've talked a lot about scholarships, including timeline for applying to scholarships and preparing your materials. The last thing I want to leave you with in terms of scholarships is goal setting. I want you all to take about 2 minutes to identify a step you want to take this week in terms of scholarships. This can be something as simple as simply researching scholarships or writing your resume. Think of what goal you want to set for yourself this week and feel free to chat it in, or if you're comfortable, you can unmute to share your step as well. Dayanara?
Yeah, so what I've been doing recently is I've been looking at scholarships based on like where I'm from, like so like by Queens, instead of just Queens, I like where I'm from, like Jackson Heights or Corona, I do that. So even though it's a small amount, it's less people gonna be applying, so like it adds up. So I've just been doing that.
Oh, that's smart. That's a smart strategy. Definitely, yeah, the bigger known scholarships are going to get more applicants than like the smaller ones. But like you said, even if it's a small amount, something is something. So that's a really good strategy. Anyone else want to share what next step they want to take this week to start their scholarship applications? You can also feel free to put it in the chat if you don't feel comfortable unmuting. Stephanie?
Well, I like to take this week. A good step is like applying to good scholarships that I am interested in.
Yes, yes. So that's definitely a good step as well. Creating your list of scholarships that you're interested in applying to, that's definitely a good step to take this week. And then once you take that first step, you guys can definitely continue, creating your materials and gathering everything. I would also recommend having someone look over your resume if you don't feel the most confident in, just like with your college essay, making sure that someone's looking over your materials just to catch any small mistakes you might not catch yourself. Someone placed in the chat, I want to research and make a scholarship list this week. That's a good goal to have, definitely getting that out the way. Similar to your college list, if you can get your list created and ready before senior year starts, that will be a lot less to worry about once you start applications. So definitely a good first step. Let's see. Okay, thank you guys for sharing. I hope you are each thinking of what step you want to take this week towards scholarships, because I want all of you to apply to scholarships so that you can get as much financial aid as you can, because that's how you can make college a lot more affordable. So we're actually going to take a quick 15, I was about to say 15, a quick 5-minute break. I'll see you back at like 6:45. Feel free to go get some water, use the bathroom, get a snack, do what you need to do, and I'll see you back in 5 minutes. About talking to family about finances. This is a topic that may or may not be new to you, and for some, it might be a hard topic. So we just want to talk a little bit about it with you. So you might be asking yourself, I need to talk about money. In most cases, students, families, or guardians their finances tend to be a huge driving factor in how much aid you'll qualify for and how much money you'll end up having to pay afterwards. In simple terms, your family's income can be a huge determining factor on how much financial aid you receive and how much you have to pay for college, unless you're legally and financially independent from your parents or guardians. In reality, most families do not openly talk about their finances. For example, I'm a first-gen student. I'm the firstborn daughter. However, I didn't actually know their income until it came to college, and I actually had to fill out FAFSA, and I actually had to learn what a tax return is. That's where I learned my family's income, and that's when I really had to start educating myself on money and how to have these conversations with them. We're mentioning this because it is a challenging topic to bring up, but understanding your family's finances can allow you to create a school list that's affordable for you. Essentially saying you don't want to create a college list that has schools that you might not be able to afford. So that's why it's really important to know these types of information. It can be very hard to speak about it because sometimes parents might not want to share with you how much they're making. But it's worth talking about. I just want to also just remind you that you can attend college no matter what, but understanding your family's finances will just help it be a little bit more easier when you are applying to college. So thinking about opening up this conversation with your family, what emoji would you use to express how you feel about this? I think for me, like I put the stressed out emoji when it comes to having these conversations. We do have some resources for filling out financial aid that if you want to reach out to me afterwards, I'm happy to like work out with you. But I would also recommend checking the FAFSA website. So it's the studentaid.gov website where you can look for more resources. They have a lot of guides on there to help you with filling out FAFSA. So I would also recommend you check that out. But yes, Stephanie and Valeria also put the stressed out emoji. I can definitely agree with that. It's very hard to bring up this conversation. A sad face, that's a good one. Yeah, it can be very hard. I honestly like I don't even know how to explain how you can even start this conversation, but I will say once you start having this conversation, it will get easier because you will be filling FAFSA out every year. So you will need to talk to them about finances every year, especially if your income is changing in whatever way, just due to new jobs, new schedules, etc. But hopefully we can provide you some ways to make opening this conversation up a little bit easier. So here are just some suggestions. The first one is to share your financial goals related to college. So what we answered in the poll previously, if your goal is to graduate with as little to no debt as possible, it's going to be very beneficial to you to know your family's income. That way you know, okay, what college is within my budget range. If I know my family income is this much, I probably should not be applying to a college that is really, really, really out of that budget. That way you can make sure that you are graduating with as little to no debt as possible. It might also, if you are low income, it might mean that you more than ever want to get a full ride scholarship to a school. So that will motivate you to try to get that full ride. You can also let them know it can help you create an affordable college list. So like I just explained, knowing the income can help you make sure you are not putting schools with very high tuition bills. And lastly, you can ask to have a conversation ahead of time instead of putting them on the spot. So instead of it being December, you're about to fill out FAFSA, and now you want to tell them about finances, maybe don't do that. Maybe have the conversation ahead of time. So let's say you can even have it today, tomorrow, just briefly saying, hey, I might need to know your finances when it comes to college. And this is why I'm going to need to know your finances so that they have an idea. Oftentimes, the reason why miscommunication happens is because there is missing information. So if you can provide as much clarity to your parents as possible, that is going to be ideal. I would just say from my experience, at first my parents were a little bit hesitant to share their income with me. With them, I honestly just had to have an honest conversation with them and say like, hey, I really want to go to college. This is what I plan to do in college. This is what I plan to pursue. And this is why I need to know your finances. This is why I need to know if you're doing taxes or not, whether you are making medium income, low income, etc. And there are different ways to approach the conversation. No one knows your parents better than you. Let's be honest. We all know how to talk to our parents to avoid getting them upset. So definitely using that to our advantage. I just think as being as open and transparent with them will be your best friend in making this conversation a little bit easier. And in all honesty, you might be the main person doing the FAFSA and all the financial documents. All 4 years of college, I was filling out FAFSA by myself because my parents don't know FAFSA as I don't expect them to know because I was the first in my family to go. So I just tried to make sure that I knew I was well informed on what I was supposed to be doing so that I wouldn't stress them out. So yeah, a very deep conversation to have. If you have any questions or need any tips for starting that conversation, you can also feel free to send me a message either after this meeting or sometime next week, and I'm happy to help. Yes, moving forward with financial aid, I do recommend that you take some time to look at this chart that's on the slide. This chart is meant to help begin to guide you in knowing which parent you should talk about for their finances. So depending on your parent situation, your parents might file taxes separately or together. One parent might be the only breadwinner or both might be the breadwinner. So you're gonna need to figure out whose finances you should be using. Notice that if your parent remarried, the person they remarried may also need to fill out FAFSA. And for more details about specific family situations, including if you are a citizen but your parents are not, as well as if you don't live with either of your parents, or if you only live with one parent, check out the resource in the chat to determine which parent information to use. It's on the studentaid.gov website, so you can also check out more resources there. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in any of this, but like I've been saying, FAFSA has a lot of useful articles that I highly recommend you check out, and it's going to be something you gradually learn about. This is your first time filling out FAFSA, so do not expect to know everything. By hopefully your junior year of college, you know exactly what you should be doing for FAFSA. But that just being said, always feel free to ask questions, ask your college counselor, ask your financial aid advisor once you are in college. Any questions that you have, that's why they are there to help you. So now that we've determined the financial information that you will need, including your parents' income, you can begin to prepare yourself to complete FAFSA. And FAFSA, it's such a hard thing to say. FAFSA is very important to fill out every year you are in college. Think of it like something you are renewing every year to make sure that you are getting financial aid for every new school year. So what you should know about FAFSA is that FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It provides access to free money in the form of grants and scholarships. It is used by schools to evaluate need-based information and financial aid in the form of low-interest loans and work study. You will need to complete it every year. And if you are not a U.S. citizen, you may or may not be eligible. Sarah is kindly going to chat in the link where you can check whether your non-citizen eligibility. So feel free to check that out. Let's see. Yes, essentially this form is used to determine what financial aid do you qualify for? Do you qualify for grants, scholarships? If you are going to a school that provides a need-based financial aid, they will use this form to determine how much aid do you actually need based on your need. In simple terms, usually the application opens in October. However, does anyone know what month it opens this year? December. Is it because I said it? I just realized I also said it. I also said it in my example. Yes, as Javier put in the chat, the answer is December. This is because they are revising FAFSA, so the date has been pushed back. I do want to mention that this is not an ideal situation, as students who are planning to apply early decision and early action won't get financial aid right away. And your academic advisor is probably stressing out about this. So the best tip we have for you is to keep your ears open for any updates and fill it out as soon as it opens. So do not wait until the last minute. There are students who it opens in October, but they won't fill it out till next March. Please do not do that. Please fill it out as soon as you can. And with the new changes that are coming to FAFSA, I would highly encourage you to inform yourself about the new changes because it might apply to you. One of the changes that I recall is that you won't be able to put any siblings who are in college. So for example, at one point, me and my brother were in college at the same time, and that really helped with financial aid because that's two tuition bills my parents had to pay. But with this new change, I can't indicate that, so that can really affect your financial aid. So please just make sure that you are informing yourself about the changes and how it applies to you. So like I mentioned, fill out FAFSA as soon as it opens. You might be asking yourself, why is it so important to fill it out quickly? That is because once it opens up, it is kind of like a big fund of money, and money is assigned on a rolling basis. So the later you apply, the less money is available. Let's say you have this big fund of money, multiple people are applying, that fund is slowly but surely dwindling. And if you are applying next June, there's going to be very little money left for you to receive. So you really want to make sure that you are applying as soon as possible so that you can get as much money as possible. Do keep in mind that different states have different FAFSA deadlines. So you're going to want to make sure that you're on top of those deadlines. And then you can also check the deadlines for each state in the link in the chat that Sarah's gonna kindly add to it for you to check out. So if you're in New York State, your deadline is gonna probably differ from Massachusetts. So make sure that you're on top of that. Lastly, you wanna make sure that you're getting your IDs, tax returns, and anything else that you need together, because it might not be that simple. For example, if you need, let's say your ID, but your ID is out of date, you're going to need to renew that. If the tax returns, let's say you don't have all the documents that go into a tax return, you're going to need to find that. For many things, it's okay to wait for the deadline. If you're submitting an assignment at 11:59 p.m., which I do not recommend, but hey, sometimes we do that. You can do that. But FAFSA is not the thing to wait last minute to apply for. Please do it as soon as possible. Yeah. And if you have any questions, we will have some time afterwards, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have regarding this or anything else we talk about in the workshop. So in the meantime, as you're waiting for the application to open, now that it's been pushed back, you can take the necessary steps to get ready. So could I have a volunteer read out the steps on this slide? Anyone can feel free to participate. Dayanara.
Do I read the whole thing?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay. Create an FSA ID. Use your personal email so you don't lose access. Keep your login info. It will be the same every year. It may take up to 48 hours to be processed. Have your parent or guardian create an FSA ID as well. Assemble this list of financial documents, IDs, etc. Create a FAFSA account. Set aside an hour to sit down with your parents or guardian to complete the FAFSA.
Yes. Thank you for reading it out loud. So some examples of the financial documents that we've already mentioned include IDs, tax return, Social Security. So definitely feel free to come back to this document later on. A lot of the things on this PowerPoint are hyperlinked. So once you guys get the presentation, you can definitely open it up and click on the links to, explore all the resources that we have. In the chat, Sarah will be adding the link to create your FSA ID if you haven't already done so. If you already created it, great, you're ahead of the game. But she will also be adding in the link to all the documents that you need for FAFSA. Note that creating your FSA ID is a separate step from actually creating your FAFSA account. So you'll need to do your FSA ID before you can create your FAFSA account. There's a lot of accounts that you're going to be creating for financial aid because different states have different financial aid forms that you need to fill out. So make sure you are filling the ones that you need to fill out. And like it says at the bottom, set aside about an hour to complete your FAFSA with your parent or guardian. This will save you between $5,000 to $12,000. So definitely want to take the time to do that. Yeah, I would say it takes about an hour. If you're very quick with it, 45 minutes, usually an hour. You can either sit with your parent or not. I think my mom sat with me the first time I filled it out just because I wasn't sure where to find all the income information on the tax return, and she had more information on that. But honestly, once I became a pro at it and I knew what to look at, it became very easy. So definitely up to you whether you would rather have your parent there or not. One of the things we emphasize about college is that you are becoming independent. So knowing how to do these things on your own is going to be very beneficial. And getting all of these steps together and creating your accounts now will mean that you're ready to go once FAFSA opens. You don't want to wait till the very last minute, because what if you need to verify something or you lose access to something? Please just get it out of the way now. It'll make your life easier a lot later on. And lastly, when it's complicated, feel free to ask for help. It is completely okay to feel, a little overwhelmed with everything that I've just mentioned. Just to check in with everyone, is anyone feeling intimidated or overwhelmed just thinking about FAFSA or financial aid forms? You can use like the hand raising emoji thing that Zoom has, or a thumbs up as well. Let's see. 2 thumbs up. Oh, it scrolls so fast. Oh my goodness. Only 3 people are feeling intimidated. Wow. I mean, impressive. If you don't want to share, that's okay as well. It is completely okay to feel overwhelmed or intimidated by this whole process because it is a new process. And if you feel like you're gonna get stuck or lost at any point, please feel free to reach out to people. You can reach out to your guidance counselor, to family members who have gone to college, to friends who are also filling it out. You can be on the same boat of being confused and work together to figure it out. You can also send a message to your Let's Get Ready coach. They're happy to answer any and all questions that you have to the best of their ability. If you can take the lead on filling out these forms by yourself, that's great. You are 100% capable of finishing the FAFSA by yourself. A lot of students do it. I'm not the only student that had to fill out FAFSA by themselves. I know many other students who had to do it by themselves, and it is possible. I even had to help my brothers fill it out. At one point, my middle brother was able to figure it out on his own, which was great. But my little brother, who just entered college, is completely lost on FAFSA. So it comes in handy whenever you have relatives going into college and now you can help them. There is always a way to make things happen. I encourage you to make sure you seek the support when needed, and please do not feel afraid to ask for help. Everything is a learning process. Definitely reach out whenever needed. So just a quick heads up, we recommend checking out the College Essay Guide to Avoiding Rookie FAFSA Mistakes. You can find the link to this guide in the chat. There are some mistakes that can easily occur, so just making sure you are avoiding them is going to save you some time later on. Keep in mind, FAFSA is not the only form that you'll be filling out. Many colleges may also ask you to complete a CSS profile to access scholarships and financial aid. So Sarah is kindly going to add in the link where you can check which schools need the CSS profile in case you need to create one. And other than that, please just make sure that you are checking your emails. For now, with your college application process, you should be using your primary personal email for everything. You're going to get a lot of emails this next year, basically your senior year, from colleges, from FAFSA, from any financial aid form that you are filling out. So please make sure to check it. Some people get asked to complete the FAFSA verification. So please make sure that you're on top of that. You don't want your financial aid to be delayed because you didn't verify your information. When you have access to this slide as well, you can also feel free to check out the English and Spanish version of the FAFSA preview outline, just so that you can inform yourself. And if your parents speak Spanish, they can also read more about it so they know what's going on and what you're doing. The last thing I want to discuss is reviewing financial aid offers. This is for when you've applied to colleges and now you're starting to receive your financial aid offer. So could I get a student to read the slide out loud? New volunteers, Javier. Sorry, Diana.
After you finish all of your financial aid and college applications, you'll wait to see where you are accepted.
Mhm.
Each college that accepts you will send you a financial aid reward letter. These are super important. The amount of aid each school gives you will vary, often dramatically. Financial aid letters are confusing and come in different formats.
Yes, emphasis on confusing because the way they like to label different charges or different well, not on the word letter, but on your tuition bill, the way they like to word certain charges or word certain aid can be a little bit confusing, which is why it is very important that you take the time to review each financial aid award letter, compare them, see which one is giving you the best bang for your buck. Some important things to keep in mind is that some schools try to make it appear like you'll pay less money when that's not really the case. There is a video that can help you understand how to review them. You can feel free to check it out now and again next year once you receive your offers. I don't think we have the link to the video, but when you have access to these slides, you can definitely feel free to check the hyperlink for this video. This will be really helpful. This will be a very helpful place to utilize the support of your Let's Get Ready coach next year. So if you have any questions about your financial aid award letter, feel free to reach out to them and they can try to help you to the best of their ability. For this last thing, can I have someone read out this last sentence to really give emphasis? Let me see. I can't see. Dayanara. Oh, Javier. It's okay. Dayanara.
I'm sorry, Javier. Okay. Okay, do not commit to attending a college before you review the financial aid offers from all the schools you get into.
Yes, this is very important to emphasize because you may or may not get into the dream school that you've been thinking about since you were 5 years old, but then they give you the worst financial aid offer. That's the last thing you want to do, is like go to a school that is not giving you the most money it possibly can. So that's why it's really important that you compare financial aid offers between schools, see which one is really going to meet your financial goals for college while also still providing you with like the major or the atmosphere that you're looking for. One thing I would add is do not feel afraid to ask for more aid. Sometimes students are not encouraged to do so, but I always like to encourage students to do so. Even once you've accepted a school and you got your financial aid offer and you've accepted it, actually before you accept it, feel free, if you think that you should receive more aid, appeal the letter. My brother got into his dream school, thankfully, but the financial aid that they were giving was honestly not within our means. So we wrote an appeal letter explaining, other things that they might not have considered, such as having two other siblings in college at the same time, or financial hardships due from COVID, because those effects are still in place. We wrote the financial aid appeal letter and we were able to get some more aid from the school. So definitely do not feel like you have to accept exactly what they are giving you. Always feel free to ask for more. The worst they can say is no, but at least you try to get some more aid. Yeah, just highly recommend that you advocate for yourself and try to get as much aid as you can. We know that talking about finances for college is a lot. That's why Let's Get Ready is here to support you. So if you ever have any questions that come up, any concerns, you can always feel free to reach out to your core coach and they're happy to help you. Now we have some time for questions. Does anyone have any questions? I know I see one in the chat. So do you recommend early decision? Also, is there ways to predict the early decision price aside from the net price calculator? That is a very good question. I actually just had a conversation with a student right now. I am not a financial aid expert, but the one thing I did, let me just copy and paste. The one thing I did suggest to the students is, because we don't know what is going on with FAFSA, speak with your college counselor, your guidance counselor, whoever is your go-to person for college this coming school year. Definitely talk to them about what they're thinking, what is their perspective on everything that's going on. I think it might be safe to do regular decision if you're okay. Please inform yourself on the difference between early decision and early action. One is binding, one is not. So making sure that you are not binding yourself to something unless you're very committed to it. Like the example I gave is that there are students who, since they were 5 years old, said, I'm going to Princeton University, and they are very committed to going to that university. They're committed, they're passionate about going to that school. So doing early decision is an easy yes for them. But if you're keeping your options open and there are multiple schools that you're interested in, then binding yourself to one school might not be the best idea because you want to keep your options open. Let's see. Oh, I hope that answered your question. For the net price calculator, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. But if you're comfortable emailing the financial aid office at the school that you're interested in doing early decision with, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Javier?
Yeah, this is out of that topic, but when exactly are we getting our own like LGR coach? Is it by the end of the month?
Did you sign up for Core Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be coming in the next few weeks, from what I know. Birna,
can-
do you? Yeah, Sarah?
Yeah, I can answer that.
No.
I'm a
Yeah.
transition program manager. So you should be getting your coaches on the week of the 28th. That'll be when they first start messaging you. So you'll be matched with them soon.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Stephanie?
Well, I want to see if you could give me more information about the coach stuff, and can you send me the link so I can sign up for it?
The Core Plus?
Yeah.
Sarah, are we still
those-
taking applications?
Are those only coaches that are gonna send us messages, or do we have to enter to classes and learn about it, or no?
Oh, no. So there's like the regular core program, which is what you're in right now, where like you have a coach that's messaging a bunch of students, and then Core Plus is more like individualized support. So you are assigned a specific coach that has less students to work with, so you're able to get more focused time from them, like more one-on-one support from them.
All right, thank you.
Sarah, are we still taking students?
Yes, and I will
Yes.
put in the sign up sheet in the chat.
Yeah, so if you want to apply, you can feel free to apply there. Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else have any other questions regarding financial aid or anything that we discussed here? If not, that's okay. You can feel free to send me a message after. Okay. In closing, thank you everyone for joining us today. I always enjoy doing these workshops and getting to learn more about you all. Thank you for the participation. I think this is the most participation I've gotten in a while. So thank you so much. And to close off, we do have a quick feedback survey that we would appreciate you take, just so that we can learn more about how to improve the workshop, what is working, what is not working. So if you have your phone with you, feel free to scan the QR code on the screen. We can also put the link in the chat. I just added it to the chat if you want to, do it that way instead. I don't want to like miss the QR code. Let me see. It is anonymous, so feel free to share any feedback that you have. It's really just meant for us to continue improving the workshops, and any feedback is appreciated. Thank you again for joining. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can feel free to stay on the call. I'll be happy to answer any questions. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for joining. I hope you found the information very helpful, and I hope that you have a good rest of your week and a good weekend.